School District. At this time, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Here.
Mrs. Gator,
Here.
Mrs. Moomin,
Here.
Mr. Roberts,
Here.
Miss Mitchell.
Here. We are all present. At this time, can we stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. All right, we are on item 1.3, approval of tonight's agenda. Mr. Jolly or Dr. Rock, are there any items that need to be pulled from or added to?
Oh, no, ma'am.
All right. Board members, anything to add to tonight's agenda?
None for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. At this point, can I have a motion on the floor to approve item 1.3, the approval of the April 27th, 2022 regular board meeting final agenda?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve item 1.3, approval of the agenda.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. At this time, I need a motion on the floor to approve item 1.4, the minutes for March 9th, 2022, March 23rd, 2022, and March 28th, 2022.
Madam Chair, I move item 1.4 on tonight's agenda, the approval of the minutes for the following dates. March 9th, 2022, work session meeting, March 23rd, 2022, regular meeting, and March 28th, 2022, special meeting.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been moved and properly seconded. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. We don't have anyone in the audience with us tonight. Mr. Jolly, I'm putting it in the atmosphere.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we get any emails in?
No, ma'am.
No emails. All right, as a reminder, we do invite everybody to come and join our meetings. We are at the Municipal Center the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, and we are still adhering to COVID protocols relative to social distancing. So we do look forward to seeing you guys here in person, and if you're with us online, please remember you can visit the district website and send an email with your question, comment, or concern. We didn't receive any board reports, so I do want to remind the board, I know we haven't started any meetings or what have you, but once we start our meetings, if you just let us know that there will be a report, Mr. Jolly, Dr. Rock, and I still get together the Wednesday, the week prior to our meeting to finalize the agenda, because the agenda is already in place. We just fine tune it, and at that, let us know if we need to add any board reports to that next week's agenda. Next on the agenda is item 1.7, and Mr. Jolly, I'm handing it over to you for the superintendent report.
Yes. On the screen, it says 1.6 is the curriculum math adoption, but that will be postponed to the next meeting. That'll be postponed. They're still working through some things with that, so that'll be coming to the board at the next meeting. All right, so next up is the board report. If you could put up my presentation. And I just wanted to give the board an update on Mount Zion, and I wanted to give you an update on the athletic complex so everyone is aware of what's going on. We've been, since our acquisition of Mount Zion, we've been going through the process of determining how much work has to be done, who would do it, and go through the process of trying to secure the projects. Next screen. So here's the update of where we are today. We had a meeting today to discuss it. So on May 11th, we will bring to the board, and this is important, pre-construction authorization, which would be an agreement which would have the final drawings and the authorization to bid out the project. So basically what they'll do is, and I have sent you some documents, some estimates of the way things should be, but those are not with final drawings. So on that date, we'll bring the final drawings and then ask for authorization to bid out the project. Between May 13th and June 3rd, if given the authorization, they'll design and create the construction documents. Between June 3rd and June 17th, they will go to the city of Highland to get the permits and approval of the plan. The June 22nd meeting, I'm sorry, we're gunning for or shooting for having the final cost that we'll provide for the board for consideration. And this is after they have bidded everything. So we had a final cost, and then at that point, we'll complete the agreement to have the work done. Construction estimated date is August 1st, when they'll start the renovations, and then February 1st, the district could take occupancy. They're estimating a 6-month demo, tear down, build, also to change the HVAC systems and change flooring and all that. We've been a little ambitious with that date, but not ambitious. We're stretching it a little farther than it probably would be. But I asked any questions on that on Mount Zion.
So what is the date again? The estimated completion date? Is that the
We're gonna
date
say
you were
February
saying?
1st
Okay,
of
and
23.
that's the date you were saying we're being a little conservative
We
with?
should be, yeah, I'm trying to be conservative on that. It's all based on, as soon as we can get the final numbers and get the approval from the board, then they can actually go out and buy stuff.
Okay.
Until we get that, we can't secure anything,
Got it.
so.
Okay.
We gotta go through the process of making sure that all resolutions are passed, the numbers are correct, and all those things, so that's probably another 6 weeks before we actually can do that. So that's what we're into now. They're finishing up the pre-construction work, then they'll bring that agreement. And as soon as I get it, I will send it to you immediately, so you have plenty of time to review it before May 11th. On the athletic complex, again,
Superintendent Charlie, I do have a
Oh, I'm
question
sorry.
as far as Mount Zion. And what scholars are you going to hold in there, that building? What scholars?
pre-K and kindergarten.
Okay.
Um,
And one other question. I know that little pond back there, is it something with that construction documents that would share?
you talk about
add-
the front?
No, on the back. You know how to go over to our elementary school?
Behind, so that's not part of our property.
Okay.
That's a retention pond for the
Okay.
cemetery, and then that one in the front, that's a retention pond for
The
for the
wetland?
church. The
Oh.
one that's in the front is surrounded by the fence.
I got you.
Those are both retention.
Thank you.
ponds. So our property goes to the end of the parking lot. So that's 10 acres from the street to the end of the
I
parking
got you.
lot. All right, so the construction complex, with the athletic complex, as you know, we delayed it a year. They said the costs were high.
Yep.
So what we've done now is went through the process. So we have final meetings with the bleacher and field vendors last week. So they came back in.
And track.
And tracked and shared their product, what product is good and what product is not. So the next thing we're doing, which will happen by May 6th, is finalize the list of value engineering list. So what that is that when they designed it the first time, they designed it again like a Cadillac. So what we've done is have them go through each part of the aspect of the construction and then redesign it on a more economical level. So there's a list of things that they believe they can do it more economical. So that value engineering list is that cost reduction list. Instead of having, let's say, an 80-watt light, you get a 60-watt light. Or another example is the bleachers, different type of bleachers and how the bleachers are constructed. Or what type of ground for the track. Those are all things that they're revalue engineering. Also the light package, how bright the lights are, how high the poles are there. So those are the things that they went through each step, each part of the design, and then tried to find a more economical way to get to the final product. So that list will be reviewed and approved on May 13th. Then it'll go back to the architects. And the architects will redesign the project based upon the reductions. And it will come to the board in mid-July as a GMP. So in mid-July, they'll come to the board and say, we're gonna build the stadium for $5 million or $3 million or whatever that price is. And at that point, if the board considers it and approves it, then they'll bid the work out at the end in August in preparation to start building it in the spring.
So right now, we don't have anybody do you have anybody that's going to be doing the bleachers and the field?
We don't have anybody doing anything at this point.
Okay,
What we've done is, their original design was, the cost was too high.
okay.
So we brought everybody back to the table to see how they can make it more efficient and more economical. So now we're in the process of determining what we could reduce, what we can't reduce, redesigning it, and then bring it back for approval. Then we'll bid it out to get the final price of how much it costs. And then once you guys approve it, then they'll start to buy the product that we need, like the steel and all those things. Yes, ma'am.
Are there certain design elements, I guess you call them, that we don't want to budge on, that you kind of said, yeah, this is an absolute must. We got to have this in our catalog?
Yeah, so I think most things are standard. I think we went with what was standard, nothing below standard. From my understanding is that they did give us a Cadillac, the highest college grade, lights, college grade, track, college grade things. So what we asked for was, high school. So we really haven't budged on too much. I'm trying to think of anything that was taken out. One thing that is a concern is the storage. We want to have a storage facility because we don't have a storage facility. So that's something that was in this originally that I don't think is in it at this point because of the money. I think that was upwards to $400,000 or $500,000 additional to what the price. So that's one thing that was removed from the project. That if the prices come back at a good price, then we can add it back into the project. Other things that add to the project is like the football field. If you want to color the football field or you want to color the track, those are additional costs. Even the bleachers, the seats of the bleachers. Now, originally, I think the original design had some like real seats in the bleachers, not the regular bleachers.
Right.
So we had to take the real seats out of the project again because of economics. We didn't, because some schools do them and they like not sell them, but do like a PSL, like the Browns, and say you can buy these seats for $100 a year or something like that. So as we get closer to the end, some of those items will become alternates. So they will, if we had the money, we could buy them. If we don't have the money, then the design will withstand not having them. So I think the seats, I know the storage building is an alternate. I think the seats might become an alternate also in that process. One vendor had some seats that weren't permanent, but they were like ones that we could put them down. They're like plastic and they hook on to the chair. Yeah. And then you use a drill to make sure it's secure. So that's a real low cost option, like $70 a chair that we could use as a possible fundraiser also. So we are getting all the options to try to maintain what the original plan was, but also understanding the economics of the situation, either keeping things in or taking things out.
So, Mr. John, are we looking at a timeline of July 2022 to get that part done?
Yeah, so July 22, Infinity will come to us and say they can build the stadium for X amount of dollars.
Okay.
And then they will be required to build the stadium for X amount of dollars. And as of today, they anticipate everything will be done on time. So shouldn't be any delays at this point. next one. And then the middle and high school, the focus is the building structure and enclosure. So by July 22, the whole outside of the building should be constructed. So we should be able to see everything. The middle school part, the high school part, the whole envelope will be constructed. So that this summer, the shell would be done, and then all the work would be in the inside at that point. We do want the board to take a tour. I don't know if we could coordinate that, but I would try to coordinate that at your leisure too. When it's a nice day, we could go a different time. I would estimate you'll probably need about an hour and a half time to really see and go through each floor and see everything. So I will put something out and try to get that on everybody's schedule. I think this is one of the best times to see it, because you'll see, you'll see the plumbing, you'll see there may be some drywall going up, a little drywall, but you'll get to see things, and then you come back 6 months later and look altogether different. So we do want the board to come and take a tour. So we will set those up, preferably in the next month. We get everybody in. All right, important dates. I just want everyone to be aware. On Friday, there will be a signing day at the elementary school. Some of our high school girls will be signing their letters of intent to go to college.
At the high school?
At the high school. 10 a.m., room 154. Also Friday, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, which is having their district meeting in Warrensville Heights, will come and have a luncheon with 30 4th and 5th graders at the elementary school. So that'll be Friday at noon. On Tuesday, May 3rd, the elementary school is having their reading night, which will be outside, which they framed it taco about reading, really talk about reading. Reading night, that's from 5:30 to 7:30. On Friday, we have a college and career signing day. So that's when every student will sign their intent to go to college, military work, or whatever, whatever their call and their call is. They will be defining that on that day. May 13th is prom, and that's at Pinstripes at Pinecrest. The senior breakfast is Friday, May 20th, and that's at the high school. They also will be getting clapped out at the middle school and the elementary school. So one of the traditions that we started before COVID, and for all the young people to see the seniors as they leave, the seniors, back when we had Eastwood, Westwood, John Dewey, the seniors really liked it because they got to go to their elementary school to see, on their way out. But we're going to continue the tradition of them going and the elementary students seeing them in their cap and gown. Again, setting up expectation for them to graduate and letting them see how the seniors are. Last day of school for our scholars is Thursday, May 26th, which also serves as the commencement day, which will be at the Early Childhood Center. That is the new name of the place, Early Childhood Center. It'll be at the Early Childhood Center on May 26th at 6:30. We will have the auditorium, which we'll call it. It'll be, we will have decorations and things in there, so it will not look like a church on that day. It won't look like a church. We've talked to the church. They'll be moving their podium and moving some things out the way, and we'll be bringing our stuff in on that day. Again, it is a small cost with using it because they have sound people and and they stream it too. So we are going to pay the cost to have them stream it, and then also they sound people. But we've paid $20,000 to $30,000 the last 2 years because we had to bring sound people in and rent places and all this, except for last year. You saw the sound system and all the big screens and all the things we had. So we don't have to do that anymore. We have a place that we can host graduation from now on. And then after that, I'll talk to the cities, and we will have the Tri-Cities parade after that. So we'll start in Mount Zion and go around to all 3 Tri-Cities. Last, I just want to go through summer activities. The YMCA will have a summer camp at John Dewey. They started doing summer camp before COVID, so they have a summer camp. It is open to anybody, but again, in partnership with them, they use the playgrounds and things. High school, summer school would be June 6th to July 1st. And then the Summer Learning Academy, you approved the Summer Learning Academy. And this year there'll be an afternoon fun time. It would be, martial arts and different things in the afternoon. Partner with a group called the After School All Stars to provide those services. So at this point, that ends my report.
Mr. Jordan, one quick question. For the summer camp, do you know, is it a price on that?
It is everything is done through the YMCA.
It's done through the one? Oh, okay.
So, just, a lot of time is spent with this construction project. Right now, we're managing two major, both projects of the school and really it's three, because you got the athletic complex, you got the school, and then we got Mount Zion. So a lot of trust on our teams to, I still get to schools every day, but I am delegating and trusting the team to ensure that our buildings and our learning is continuing. And I do appreciate what the team has done, our principals, our assistant superintendent, and so forth. They are ensuring that the work in the school continues at the highest level, because my time is really diverted to ensure that the promise that we made in 2018 to deliver a stadium, quality school is met. And there's a lot of meetings that if we're not present, a lot of decisions are made that's not in our best interest. So I wanted to share that with the board, because I do have to spend a lot of time with the construction people, because they're in business, and their business is to make money, and our business is to conserve the money to ensure we deliver the promise, even with the 20%, 30% over. To me, it's schematics. It's, this is what we need to have happen. How do we get there? And that's where a lot of our challenging conversations come. So I want to publicly thank our team that's at the schools and the people who work in central office for their hard work and their focus on our vision of ensuring that our kids get a quality education daily.
Thank you
Yes,
so
ma'am.
much.
This question, Ms. Gator.
Two quick questions. Do you know what percentage of our seniors are graduating this year? Have you guys?
I don't know. I know we have 125. I know that the number, as usual during this time of year, starts off about 80 and then
Yeah.
it continues to grow. I do know that I do go over there and check. The ones who were in trouble, we had meetings with them. For what I observe and from what I hear, that they all are really actively trying to get out. So they're doing their work. So we'll have a better number, probably. Actually, I could get a number tomorrow, but I haven't heard the real warning signs that we're in trouble with that 125. Understanding that I know all 125 is not going to graduate. We know everybody's not going to make it to the finish line. But I do know Ms. Berlin and the team, the teachers and team, do everything possible to get them there. So if the kids provide the effort, they should get there. But I know it's a few students who I know slacked off. They're in school on time. They're staying late. They're doing things they need to do to get out. Any other? We got two.
The other question, I don't think you mentioned this though, the rec center. I know we talked about athletics. How are they doing with the programming? I saw on the agenda that we've got some volleyball. What about stuff for the younger kids? Are you?
Yeah, so the rec center now, the baseball is about to start. There's a parent meeting on May 2nd for baseball, the rec center. I will have, I need to have Mr. Swift provide the board with the flyers and all those things, so everyone's aware. Because again, if you're not aware, you're the board, parents probably not aware of some of the items that's going on. I know they're doing fitness classes there, and they're doing, I know the baseball is coming. And then the football is coming. And then they also did, and I met with Coach Gray on Monday, basketball. So they partnered with the Y to do basketball. He gave me a list of about 150 students. They want the board to buy medals for the 150 students. I don't know if all of them went to Warrensville, but I know they all signed up through our rec to play in the league. So I will make sure at our next meeting what rec programming is offered this summer that you guys, that not only you, but everyone's aware of it.
Thank you.
All righty, if there's no more questions, thank you for a really in-depth report.
Madam Chair, I just want to give Superintendent Jolly kudos. Most of those meetings with the construction, he never misses them. And I just want to thank you for being at the table, because now when you see what's going on and the prices are increasing, but we need a representative like Mr. Jolly or even myself to be there, because we're getting in some hard times and those conversations are deep. So I want to thank you for always making sure you're there. So, that's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to move to item 1.9.
Thank you, Dr. Rock.
Dr. Rock, your treasurer's report.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Rock.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's a pretty brief report tonight. If you could go to the next slide, please, David. So on the agenda tonight, again, there's not many slides, but there's some major things happening for us in resolutions. There's 2 financing resolutions, and we talked about this at the last meeting. These are the resolutions to actually get to go for financing for the Early Childhood Center and for Phase 2 additional funds for the middle school, high school. Both resolutions will require a separate vote. Both financings will fall under the master lease that was established for the district that we started when we did the elementary school. And the finance structure will include favorable refinance openers as we have in the past. We've enjoyed those options, when interest rates go down. On the agenda, both of these resolutions, the title has to be over 100 words long, at least, or it feels like it's over 100 words long. So when we get to the agenda, Maddie was just trying to pull pieces of it so it didn't, because you'll see on the agenda that we wrote the name of the resolutions down below. In the topic is just an abbreviation of what the 2 resolutions are. And the 2 resolutions, the titles are so long on them because legally we have to describe what's happening, how it's being worked with the certificates of participation, which is involved with the lease, and we have to describe how the funds are going to be used, meaning that, so on the one for the Early Childhood Center, that's the one that has the word acquisition in it. And then it has all the other list of construction progress, construction, furnishing, equipment, equipping. So what they do is they make that, and the reason that it's so stretched out, it's so that makes those funds flexible for us to be flexible with those funds. So that's so those are the 2 resolutions for financing. So there'll be 2 separate votes, and they're on the agenda. The next slide, please. And then this is the finance timeline. So tonight we have those 2 resolutions to authorize moving forward. And then in June, we'll have the proceeds, which will be perfect timing because now we'll be sitting on the money. We can reimburse the general fund for the acquisition of the Zion's Church. And then we'll be sitting on the proceeds to move ahead with the project. So this will be good timing. The next thing on the agenda, oh, go ahead, Mr. Roberts.
Dr. Rock, shouldn't these both actually be 22?
What's that?
Shouldn't these both actually be 22? 420 of the dates, I'm sorry.
What do I have?
The date.
Oh, yeah, I did that last time. I'm sorry. And you caught it last time. I'm sorry I didn't change it. I pulled the slide and moved it ahead. Yeah, they should be 22.
Okay.
So it's 4/27/22 for tonight and then June of 22.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
All right.
anyways, the next contract that is on the agenda tonight is with local government services. This is an arm of the state auditors. We've had them all 6 years that I've been here. I think they've been here before I was here. And the local government services, they work under a state auditor's office, but what their job is they convert our financial statements to GAAP, and then they compile the audited financial statements. The reason that we have them on the agenda tonight is because there was a price increase from $65 an hour to $75 an hour. I tried to go back in time to see if I ever saw a price increase from them before, so I even went to a prior job that I was at before I got here. I've been here 6 years, and I went 5 years at Riverside, and I never saw an increase even, so that's 11 years. So I'm pretty confident they haven't had a price increase for a very long time. And for us, this might amount to about $500. We haven't exceeded $6,000. Last time it was $5,700. So it's a small amount and a small increase. So it's not going to be that much impact for us with the increase. The next slide. And then there's a resolution accepting the rates determined by the Budget Commission. This we do every year around this time in the spring. And this document sets all the tax rates for the school district for the next year. And the big thing that I look at in this document is to make sure that our finance model is working properly and in full effect. And just to be perfectly honest with you, I am the driver of that to make sure that that's working. Remember what we promised before at the very beginning of this whole facilities master plan that we've had. We promised that if the new bonds pass, those new bonds are going to charge a lower rate while the old bond is still going. And then once the old bond ends and goes down, the new bonds will go up and will still be at the same amount. So the taxpayers aren't going to feel this big jar of increase. And I want to report to the board that finance model is working perfectly for us. It's actually working really good since we refinanced and we saved $18 million last year. So everything's working good there. The last one is House Bill 126. So I guess with all the good news, there's a little bit of bad news. At first, we weren't real concerned about this because at first it was going to allow the districts to still challenge the values on commercial property. But the bill that actually went through is we're going to be limited on residential and commercial. Our district, close to 70% of our property is commercial in the district, which is good. So this House bill will set new benchmarks and procedures that we're going to have to follow. I'm sure Chris Williams will help us through that. Just in a nutshell, some of the requirements are that we have to do a prior notification to the taxpayer if there's an eligible case that we want to challenge the value on. We have to notify them within 7 days before the board takes action. And then also the board has to separately have a resolution for each separate case. And then there's thresholds of value, and this all becomes effective in July of 2022. So I'm sure Chris Williams has been a great ambassador for the district for protecting our tax property values, and I'm sure he'll fill us in more to make sure that we're within all those thresholds.
May I ask a question? We currently have a challenge underway. Is that going to be impacted by this?
That's a great question because I just asked it today. Any pending cases still go through. So anything that's already been going, they'll still be moving ahead. And then on the horizon is the 5-year forecast will be coming out next board meeting, the regular board meeting in May 25th. And that concludes my section.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rock. Any other questions for Dr. Rockford? All right, hearing none, I'd like us to move to section 2 on the agenda. And if we can please have a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda, items 2.1, 2.4, and 2.5.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept as a consent agenda under the Treasurer's Report and Financial Recommendations 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4.
No, 2.1, 2.4, and 2.5.
I'm sorry?
It's just 2.1.
Yeah, we're doing the resolution.
2.4 and
Oh, because the
2.5.
resolutions, gotcha. All right, so I changed that. You said it's 2.1, 2.4,
4
and
and
2.5.
2.5. Yes, ma'am. May I have a second?
And I second.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been moved and properly seconded. Board, before we move to a vote on those three items, are there any questions or discussion?
None for me, Madam Chair.
Hearing none, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Next on the agenda, we need a motion to approve item 2.2, the resolution for our Early Childhood Center, the certificates of participation for 2022.
Do we need to read it?
Now, do we need to read the recommended action, Dr. Rock?
No, you could just do the agenda title, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Because again, we'd be here for 10 minutes just to read off the title.
Right. All right, thank you. May I please have a motion to approve item 2.2 as it was read?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move item number 2 for the consent treasury report and financial recommendation. Item 2.2, the Early Childhood Center Certificates of Participation 2022.
Thank you, sir. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we move forward on this vote, are there any additional questions for Dr. Rock on this topic?
Madam Chair, I do have a question. Dr. Rock, for the dollar amount, is that just an estimate?
That's not to exceed $9.5 million.
I got you, that's what I thought. Thank you, sir. That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. And then we need one more motion to approve item 2.3, the resolution approving the first supplemental ground lease and first supplemental lease purchase agreement.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept item 2.3, resolution approving a first supplemental ground lease and first supplemental lease purchase agreement.
Thank you. May I have a
Second.
second? It's been moved and properly seconded. As with the other one, are there any questions on this one?
None for me, Madam Chair.
All right, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. I just want to thank Dr. Rock and Mr. Jolly for the work that you guys have done to pull this together for the purchase of our new Early Childhood Development Center. We are
Ms.
on our
Mitchell,
way.
I'd like to thank the board for your support and for helping us with this. This is very, very, I'd even say very again, very, very, very advanced finance and strategic finance that the district will enjoy the fruits of these labors for years. And it's just it's paramount. And by us being able to work together as a team and to get this advanced financing and strategic moves done is just phenomenal for our district. Now, I am honored to be part of it, but it is a lot. And I guess I'm honored that you understand it and that you allow me to present it, because this is advanced finance. If I was retiring, I'm probably going to write about this. Would probably be 4 chapters of the book. So I just wanted to thank you, and this is just paramount for the district.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty.
I just want to be clear, everybody understand, knows what the second the 5 million is for. Okay.
Yes.
The 5 million is in 2 resolutions, so the second 5 million
Second one.
Oh,
is to
okay.
assist, to assist with the overall.
Yes, the second one is $5 million for the middle school, high school to assist with extra funds.
Okay.
What it is.
All righty. Thank you both. Next on our agenda is section 3, and if we can please have a motion to approve by consent agenda, superintendent's recommendations and presentation for board action certificated staff. This is going to be items 3.1 through 3.3.
Madam Chair, I move item number 3 on tonight's agenda, the consent superintendent recommendation presentation for board action certified Staff looking for item 3.1 through 3.3.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we go to the vote, are there any questions on any of these items?
I did want to mention the TSL grant. That's the grant that we received, over $500,000. So, this is a lot of professional development for our staff. So we should, coming out these COVID, coming out all these different things. You also see aspiring leaders. So we are preparing people to lead the district in the future. We anticipate that every year, when you are a district like ours and you have done some good things, you anticipate people going to move on. So with that anticipation, this is an opportunity for us to build the leaders of tomorrow. You see that a lot of these opportunities we've been hired internally because we have been setting up these pathways. But this is another opportunity to give people real training before they actually get the opportunity. So I just wanted to share that because I think this grant is a great opportunity for us to show model teachers, to empower teachers to be leaders, and also to set up pathways of succession for people as they matriculate to new endeavors in the world. Because again, like if you look at all great dynasties, the Bulls won 6 championships. After the 6, 7, people start wanting to get their own team. And that time is coming for us. I think that we've prepared a lot of people to do some great work. And I think it's time for people to spread their wings. So we got to have people ready to take their place.
That's right.
So this is an opportunity for that.
Excuse me. Do we have to use that money within the next school year?
Yeah, so I believe it's a 5-year grant.
Oh, so we have 5
Yeah,
years to
we got
use
it.
up the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha,
Now,
okay.
each year we got to spend it, or you don't get to.
It doesn't carry over.
It don't
We get
carry over.
$500,000 each year?
Yeah, so the first year, they allow us to carry the money over. So this year we got to carry money on because it started so late. It didn't start on time. But every year we got to have people in programs and we got to spend the money.
So is it a matter of putting teachers in specific programs, or do they dictate to you how you can spend the money, what type of professional
Yeah, so they have
development?
all different types of professional development. So what we do is, teachers apply to be part of the program.
Okay,
Pretty much everybody gets in. It's not real high criteria to get in. Most people get in. So the demonstration teachers are probably one of the ones that the criteria is a little higher because you don't want anybody to be a demonstration teacher. You want the better people to
Right.
be a demonstration teacher. But I think if this program, and we do it the right way, everybody have opportunity to matriculate through it and get better at their craft.
okay.
So it's teachers helping teachers.
Teachers helping teachers, yes.
Okay.
And if you look at the names, most of them are teachers. And there are some administrators in there because they have a leadership academy. So that's for the assistant principals and so forth, and others to be professionally developed too.
Well, if you're helping teachers, you're helping our children.
Is that,
Superintendent Jelly, will they report to a certain person or different people you have in charge of these?
Right, so Ms. Bishop is the person we pulled to help facilitate this, and Dr. Caver. So they're both, Dr. Caver came to present the program. She's the architect
Okay.
with Ms. Bishop, both of them at the table, and both of them. Now, when we have we will be bringing some instructional coaches. They will be in our curriculum department, so they'll be part of our curriculum department. And what we're bringing on is a science coach for elementary, which is, we desperately need assistance in science in elementary school. You got to think when all the testing came, most people taught reading and math to get kids to pass the test. So subjects like science and social studies, and you talk to any school, kind of take a back seat. So that is science instruction is something, they only test science in 5th and 8th grade. So it's not tested. Most people, we concentrate on reading and math.
Right.
So we want to increase our science, because that coordinates with the STEM that we're doing. So with the science instructional coach, which would come out of this grant, it gives us an opportunity during the duration of the grant and see if it's worthy of keeping. And at the conclusion of the grant, if it's not, then it'll be something that goes away.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. If there's no other questions, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes,
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes,
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. All righty, next on the agenda, if we can have a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentation for board action classified staff, and this will be items 4.1 through 4.5.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept as a consent agenda, item 4, superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board action classified staff, 4.1 through 4.5.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Jolly, I ask you first, is there anything that you want to go into
No, these are,
self-explanatory?
yeah, they're basic, we have retirement, resignation,
Yeah.
reclassification. Ms. Brooks going to 3 days a week to assist us. We still have records that's not scanned, so we need those records scanned. So she'll do it part-time. It's not a full-time position, but all of our records, the history of the records at Warrensville are all in boxes sitting at the board. So we have to have somebody scan them all in. So we're in the process of digitizing all our records, all our HR
fantastic.
records. So that would be Miss
Ms. Brooks.
Brooks's primary focus.
Awesome.
And it's how long Warrensville been a district?
It's gonna be a tedious
all
task,
on paper. Everything's on paper. So, as we transition, we have to get those digitized. So that's what we're doing with that.
All righty, thank you. Are there any additional questions?
Item 4.2, the retirement. Mr. Joy, I see that, Ms. Struthers is retiring, and I remember, I think last month, we had Ms. Callahan.
Yeah,
Are there ceremonies to honor them?
Yeah, so we haven't had a ceremony since COVID. That is something our HR department will be putting together. Some type of formal ceremony. Normally the board did it, didn't it? Alicia normally, so that's something the board may, because as I recall, Alicia and the board will put together the ceremony. But we haven't had one. A couple of years, we didn't really have no retirements.
Right.
And we didn't have no retirement, then COVID hit. So these are the first retirements we've had in a while. So I think that's something that we should really discuss and try to get together so we can plan something.
We would like to have, a ceremony.
Yeah.
to honor them.
Even bringing them here, I don't know, whatever you guys want to do. We've had it at the senior center before, but it was like 8 people retiring or 9 people.
Did it at Granite
But we
City
haven't
one
had
year.
those numbers in a while.
Right.
So right now, we only have 2?
Too.
With the numbers being so small, could we go back to a restaurant like we've done?
Could do that too. Yeah. So we can,
We probably.
I can have Alicia contact you guys
Please.
and have Alicia coordinate that. Dr. Rowe?
Yep,
Okay.
we could coordinate it. She loves to do that.
Who will she contact, the board chair?
Board president and
Okay.
then whatever direction from there.
That's fine.
We'll take from that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can we move the agenda up on my screen? I can see it.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Can you move the agenda, up, please, David?
5.1.
Down. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Sorry,
Keep go-
thank you.
Keep going.
All right, if there's no more questions on section 4, can Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Gator,
Yes,
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. We are now at section 5, and if I can please have a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for personnel and programs. And this is going to be items 5.1 through 5.11.
Madam Chair, I move on tonight's agenda, the consent superintendent's recommendation and presentation for personnel and programs, looking for items 5.1 through 5.11.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Mr. Jolly, before we go to the board for questions. Is there anything that you want to highlight here?
Yeah, so I think, can we pull out 5 point, it's a policy on the,
Is that 5.11?
5.11, it's a policy,
Open enrollment?
open enrollment policy.
Okay, you want to pull it out?
Well, no, I don't want to pull it out, we do it.
Discuss it.
Tonight, I'm asking the board to approve the policy and the resolution for open enrollment. As discussed at the earlier meeting, we will only designate 25 position slots at the high school for a short period of time. That is based on enrollment. The others, our elementary school is at capacity, our middle school is at capacity due to the space that it currently exists, and our high school has space. Also, and now when the change of the calendar, which is 5.1, we are in our Heights Consortium, we are making all efforts to align all 5 districts so that their spring breaks are together. We're going to try to have the school years aligned as much as possible because we are sharing kids. What happens now is our spring break is 3 weeks ahead of high spring break. Kids are coming to school when they're on spring break and they're having to sit out or not go to school when the other school on spring break. So what we're trying to do is align all 5 districts together so that to even at the aspect where if a kid is coming, just say a kid come to Warrensville and they need to, and their schedule doesn't allow them to take a class at their regular school, that they could take the class at our school. I took a trip to it's called the 6 School Pack, which is Hudson, Cauga, Falls, Kent, Stowe.
Ravenna, maybe.
Yeah, one of them. And they work like one big school district. My kids are just totally interchangeable. I mean, a kid could go to Hudson and actually take all their classes at Stowe and still graduate from Hudson. I mean,
Oh, wow.
it's all based on what the kids' needs are, based upon the career tech. So our career tech consortium is striving toward having that type of connection. Of course, there's a lot of barriers in place, but that's our goal, is to try to, I know there will be meetings with the boards because we have boards who have different philosophies and thoughts on how that should look. But we're starting the process of just trying to get the leadership in place. Basically, each district having a CTE team, which coordinates the schedules, the busing, all of those things. Having a lead superintendent, that group has a lead superintendent that kind of leads the work. Providing support to the coordinator. So they have basically an office, a career tech office, and they have secretaries and all this to support because it's thousands of kids is involved. In ours, we have thousands of kids involved, but we have one person that's in charge of everything. So she has to do busing, and we pay not even a fifth of the cost, but we share the cost. So we have to look at the structure. Is it structured to be successful too? So all those things are coming down the pipe. It's not solidified. We have a meeting next week to try to organize our consortium so that it can run effectively, so that our students can take advantage of all the offerings that all these schools offer. Our goal in Warrensville is to have 50% of our students in career tech next year. That's my goal, to have 50%. Because if we have 50% involved in that, then we have another 30% involved in sports, and then we have esports and clubs. If 100% of the kids are engaged at the high school is going to be a top high school. The issue comes into play is when kids are not engaged.
Right.
And they take some of the kids that's engaged down with them. So if we get everybody engaged, and that's the goal, I think our high school will flourish. So that's what we're working toward. So the Career Tech Consortium, even though we've always had it with Cleveland Heights and Shaker, it really ran as a Cleveland Heights focused program, and we just had we had graphics back in the day, or electronics or something.
What, in our
In
district,
Warrensville.
all we had was graphics.
Oh, yeah, all we had
Yeah.
was graphics. So we didn't have anything, and we had to send our own kids over there, which was a barrier for our students. So that's why, with your blessing, we bought culinary and fire, which made our program more attractive for people.
Right.
And then the inclusion of Maple and Bedford, which is closer to our school. But we can make it work. It's just the will, and we're gonna have to really have boards really talk and communicate, and eliminate some barriers. You know, and there's some historical barriers that's in place amongst the communities too, and which I think our C grade has dispelled some of those misconceptions about what happens in our school. So I'll be coming to you more about that and how that looks.
Do we have a timeline?
We're trying to be ready in August for a new branding of a high school social. It exists, it's running, but how do we formalize it to where it looks like the one that's in Hudson or better? Even though that one's been around for 53 years, the one out there has.
So, Mr. Jolly, you guys going to be basically focused on the calendar year that is going to be consistent with all the other.
Right, so that's the easy win, we believe, is to how the calendars align. That's one easy win.
Okay.
And even looking at what's offered in middle school, like how is career options introduced in middle school? How are we going down and exposing kids to careers in middle school? I know our middle school does a lot of it, but how systematically are we getting them to go visit places and see places?
Right.
You know, and that's what we want to come to the board with soon, is how it's going to look 6 to 12. And then eventually K-12. Because again, the sooner a child is exposed, and I call it their call, whatever they call it is, you know, like everybody has a call. And what happens in our school is that kids don't get exposed to their call. So they get distracted. Because if you're not doing what you love to do or what you've been called to do, then you are unmotivated. You don't like school or you don't like learning. But we can make learning enjoyable if we find what kids like to do.
Right.
And that starts earlier, because now earlier, the more exposure they're getting to things that are not part of their call. And I just, in my educational opinion, is that once a person is in their call, there's really no distraction, because if you like fixing cars, you're gonna come to school to fix cars.
Right.
If you like to play basketball, you're gonna come to school to play basketball. I mean, many of us went to school to play basketball and then got called into something else, you know. So I just think when we look at this work, it's not about always the tests and the scores and all of that. It's how do we embrace a child's genius? How do we get to that genius? And that's through exposure. It's through opportunity. It's through providing experiences for children to find that genius. And as a school district, if we are finding kids' geniuses, then they're not going to drop out. They're not going to act up. They're not going to become distractions and predators in society, because their genius is fulfilled. And what you see in other places, like our club initiative to find more clubs in the schools, is that kids, like with the esports, they already got a team, because there were already kids that wanted to do it. We just didn't address that. You know, we want to do something with movies and clubs, like a film club. There's kids that watch movies, they shoot little movies, TikTok, but we don't do it. Right. So I think part of it is then having staff members who have these same gifts to want to share them with the students. That's another challenge, because there's a lot of barriers with people and their perceptions of our children. It's a fact. I can't run from it. That if a child is not sitting in their seat and just totally engaged in what people feel, then they have a negative connotation of the child. So how do we dispel that okay, that child learns different, and if we offer them something they like, then they will sit in that seat for that period of time to get to what they want to do. So I think it's a lot of, and I hope some of this training and some of the, and we hire people who don't look at this as just a job, but look at it more as a call. And if you look at it as a call, then you would really see, again, go back to that genius inside of a person, and then you want to nurture that genius, which then you produce these positive, productive people. So I think so I look at our district and I look at where we're going. We have some great people who work here. We have some people who really see the genius in children. We wouldn't went from an F to C if we didn't have those type of people. But for us to get to the next level, we definitely need more people because we need more now. We need more clubs. Not sports. I'm not talking about sports. Right? Nothing about sports. We need clubs. We need all the different things the kids want to do. We need people that's willing to stay after school with them for an hour or two to do it.
Right.
And as a board, and I know that this board will support it with materials and items that they need, field trips, whatever they need to do. I know that this board will fully support it.
Right.
So I think as we look at our growth as a, and it has, it starts from the top, and I think everybody here is totally bought into what we need to do. I think it has to trickle down from me, from the board, to everyone who has a leadership position here, that we have to be soul people. Like, we got to really look at people internally, especially with COVID and all the issues that come with that, and the abuse and the neglect and things that came for that. It's really more of a time that you really got to look inside to really look at people and really try to nurture them. And I think that's where our next level is. So this whole consortium thing is that we got to make it better. And we got to get more kids engaged. And we got to make it more enticing for people. And we got, as a district, we got to take it lower, to lower grades. Even though it might not be part of the consortium, we're preparing them for it. So that when they get the opportunity, they already know what they want to do. And if they're not part of that, they're part of something. Because I think everybody wants to be part of something. And that's where I think we don't do a good job in some aspects, because we got good sports people. We got good students. And then the people who act up, we take care of them. But what about the people in the middle? And that's the ones we got to touch better. And it's going to take a collective effort of all. So I'm sorry for going on a tangent, but
This was good information.
that's where I come from. I come from here. I don't work from title. I don't work from when you go to the school or you go and you see the kids growing, you see these graduates coming back. That's the work, because we've touched people and got them in their call. And as we all know, when you're in your call, you excel, you work hard, you motivated. And I think we don't look at education that way. We look at it as we got to throw information to people. They might catch it, they might not. And then they're not prepared for when they need it. So, but if we get them in where they belong, then they're going to perform. And we won't have to worry about tests at all. Tests take care of themselves. What's that? Because with that, you can never lower your expectations either. And that's another thing, like, people lower their expectations. So we continue to work on that too. Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Outstanding vision, Superintendent Jelly, outstanding vision. We always, as a board, said that we're going to meet these scholars where they're at, and I think Mimi, Tracy, me, Barbara, and Earl, that's what we're trying to do, meet them where we're at. Outstanding.
Madam Chair, I do have one question. And this is on the inter-district open enrollment. And I apologize if you discussed this last week. I did try to listen to the meeting. So how will we handle, let me ask this question first. Didn't you say, or did I read, that there's a time frame for the individuals that are coming to Warrensville for them to sign up?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
What is that time frame?
We're doing the first week in June 6th to 10th.
So can you explain what happens in a perfect
I'll go
world,
through
if
the
we get
program.
all 25 students to show up, and then as we get into July and August, we have more students that live within the district to try to sign up. I mean, what happens? Did
So
you guys
kids who
discuss
live
that?
inside the district already have a spot. They don't have to open enroll. So
What
if
if they're new to the district?
no, if you live in the district, we can never
You're
exclude you.
guaranteed
You
the
guaranteed a
spot,
seat,
and the
regardless.
25 people, we can accommodate all 25
Right.
if that's what we have to do.
We can accommodate the
Okay.
25. Our class size is about 16 to 20, 21 at the high school. We can
Okay.
accommodate 25. Anybody else who come, we have to take them. And that's why we could not do anything at the elementary school or at the middle school, because they already, we know people coming anyway.
Gotcha.
They're going to get an influx of kids at the elementary school. So at the high school, we definitely can take the 25
Okay,
and then accommodate anything else to come. The high school only had like 525 students. We probably could easily have 650 in that school, I believe, easy 650.
okay,
So the only barrier we have is that science hallway has to close. So we will be coming to the board about getting trailers. We're gonna have to get trailers. Probably about 6 classroom worth of trailers. We've designated a place to put them. And that's the next level step. And that'll only be for 1 year until the high school is ready. But we have to shut down the new science hallway so that they can renovate it. So I'm talking to the principal state. She prefers to close it in the beginning of the year because we'll be moving people in the winter if we don't do it in the beginning of the year. So we just try to get everything done by August. And then we will identify who goes to the trailers. And we have a plan for how that's going to work too.
okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate it.
If there's no other questions, Dr.
I
Rockman?
have one. It's on 5.2, mature behavior solution, that, Mill Creek of Arkansas. How is that working?
Yeah, so these is where kids get, these are court-placed kids that we don't have nothing to do with. They get placed in the court, and then they send us a bill.
Oh, okay.
Any child, I don't want to say it, but kids get placed in the court system, and then they get sent to these places. And then your home district is responsible for paying the cost of educating them. So a lot of these places, we don't know about them. Sometimes they come in as then and now because they bill us late. Prayerfully, and they've been sending them to us on time, so they haven't been then and now. But there are students that are assigned there through the court. We don't do anything but get a bill.
So this program is actually came through the court?
The kid was court placed. And then the location, the district is responsible for paying the tuition of the student when they're in that facility. You'll see a lot of these come from different
I was
places.
gonna say, we've gotten them before.
Beachbrook and.
Yeah, we
This
don't
is
have nothing to do
normal.
with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is a normal,
probably because she saw Arkansas, it probably threw you off. but-
Oh.
But, yeah,
Right.
normally it's like Cuyahoga County Juvenile
Yeah.
Detention Center or something
Right.
like that, yeah.
And
okay, we good?
we're good.
All right. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes,
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. I just want to thank everybody for a good meeting. Before we move to the next areas, we don't have any unfinished business. We don't have any new business. Dr. Rock, did we have any correspondence?
No, we did not.
And then Mr. Jolly, I'll hand off to you for, did you have any additional announcements?
No, I think I made all the announcements during my presentation.
Okay. And if all hearts and minds are in the same place, I need a motion on the floor to adjourn tonight's meeting, the April 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn the April 27, 2022 board meeting.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, ma'am. Meeting is adjourned. I want to thank everybody for a good meeting and thank you to those of us who were on YouTube for joining us.